Well, Andrea, thank you so much for helping me with my project.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name's Andrea Leinfelder, and I'm a space reporter at the Houston Chronicle. I've been working and living in Houston for almost 6 years now, and I'm originally from Orlando, Florida.
Okay, so you must have seen lots of rocket launches since you're so close to Kennedy Space Center.
Yeah, so growing up, it was really cool because you would watch it start on the TV, and then you'd go out to the front yard and you could see it peek up above the trees from my house. And then you'd hear the sonic boom when they return. So shuttle launches were always a big part of growing up for me. And I saw the last one from Gainesville where I went to school. It wasn't close, but you could still see it.
That's awesome. So how did you become a NASA reporter for the Chronicle?
Yeah, so I've been covering business for many years here, and then I've always been interested in the commercial side of space. And so as a business reporter, I was covering a lot of the commercial activities here, like NanoRacks and like the Spacecom event, and just like the commercial side. And so when Alex Stuckey got a promotion to the investigative team, I applied for her job and I got it. I'm just stoked to be covering this. It's such a fun beat.
Yeah, it's really awesome, especially with your business background, the commercial side. I mean, we have like the commercial crew and the commercial lunar payload services thing with Intuitive Machines right here in Houston, and all sorts of great stuff.
Yes, it really has prepared me for this, especially as the public-private partnership seems to be playing an increasingly large role going forward. So it's a great background to have, and it's great to already know a lot of the local companies here.
And so, when did you find out that we're going to the moon in 2024?
Ooh, it's been a few years now. I remember when I first moved here, it was all about Mars, and then we switched. So I guess when President Trump made the announcement was when I was following along with those announcements and those news.
Now, I'm doing an interview every day till the end of 2024 when hopefully we do land on the moon. And even if we don't, I still plan to carry this project forward until the end of 2024. It's just the conversation gets a lot more convoluted at that point.
You're doing an interview every day?
Yeah, every day. So this is like my 185th, I think, and I have like 1,600 and some odd more to do. So.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
So it's sort of like a time capsule for people looking at this moment in history from like 50 years in the future. I kind of how
Yeah,
I view it.
that's very cool.
But most of the people I've talked to actually don't know that we're going back to the moon in 2024, and there's lots of reasons why that might be, considering all the other things that are happening in the world today. But I think one of the reasons is the way that we consume news is very different now than, say, it was in 1969. And I was wondering maybe you could talk through some of the challenges that you have covering NASA and kind of reaching a broader audience and how you go about that.
Yes, well, no one, well, very few people read physical newspapers anymore. It's all online and it's all social media. So a lot of our traffic is driven by either placement on our homepage for the website, but honestly, a lot of it comes from Twitter, Facebook, Reddit. If you can get on Reddit and like you get a link that goes viral, that's a really good source. But so every time I write an article, I always try and share it on Twitter. I share it on Facebook and LinkedIn. And and so it's definitely just trying to engage with our audience, but at the same time, we're still a local paper, so we have a Houston focus. So we always try and tell you the Houston news and the Houston angle and perspective. That way, just to differentiate ourselves a little bit from the national news, because there's definitely everybody in this country covering space. So it's a popular topic to write about. So it's interesting for me to be both national in that respect, but also local and making sure everything has like a Houston flair to it.
That is really awesome. And I was wondering for you personally, like, where does sort of space exploration fit into your world, and how do you view that? I mean, is it something that it's kind of neat for national achievements, or do you see it as being kind of like foundational to like the future of life on Earth? Like, I mean, like how do you think about it?
Okay, well, I love all those like end of the world type of movies. So I devour all of those. So obviously that is one aspect, but that's probably not the main one for me. I just think it's great to learn more about where we came from, learn more about the universe, but also I just I personally would like to go to space one day. So I think it's just a really cool technological feat to get that perspective, to get that vantage point and that overview effect everyone talks about, seeing the earth from above. I just think that'd be really cool to experience. And I also enjoy seeing just how inspiring it can be to see us come over or overcome such like technological challenges to leave Earth's atmosphere, because it's not an easy feat. And so I actually got lucky. Last week, I was in Florida watching the SpaceX launch, and it's just, you're sitting there and you're just like heart's pounding. You're like, go, go, go. And it's really cool to just see the technology side of it and like what we can do when we really come together and we really put our minds to something. And so I guess for me, it's more just about personally, I really want to go to space one day if it becomes affordable, but B, just this ability to keep learning and improving. And as we get to space, we learn more that can help us here on Earth and also help our understanding of space. And, one day it'd be really cool to colonize other planets and have like a backup plan should something go wrong. But I think that's so far out in the future, it's kind of really hard to grasp at the moment.
And I mean, we have like two billionaires that are both committed to like developing space, and they kind of have a different take on it. If you listen to them, like Elon Musk is very big about building a city on Mars and having a backup and making us interplanetary. And then Jeff Bezos talks about creating the infrastructure to allow for us to move all those Earth harming activities out into space, and things like that. But a lot of people have asked me, why are we going to the moon? What do we hope to get out of it? And based upon all the people that you've talked to, how would you distill that down for them? I mean, like, what's the benefit?
Well, it's definitely the science and the research side. I mean, there's still a lot to learn from the moon. And I also think it's a lot to prove our system so we can go farther to Mars. We have to get out. We've got low Earth orbit. I mean, obviously it's still difficult, but we've done it. And so I think we need to get a little farther out to kind of learn more about how systems work in deep space. And then we can go deeper to Mars and what. And so I think going to really helpful to learn more about travel and also to open up possibilities of, living outside of our planet. Moon is closest, so it makes sense to first get there, orbit the gateway that's going to orbit the moon. So get all of that together, and then we can go farther. But I do think a lot of it is scientific. A lot of it is just understanding more about our universe, understanding more about, if we understand more about the universe, we can understand more about how we got here, how the Earth formed, and then also just the technologies we create to do these things do come back and help us on Earth. So that's another benefit we have here.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's amazing to think like something as fundamental as electromagnetism was discovered by astronomers, and without that, wireless communications would be impossible. And it's like, what other fundamental things are out there for us to learn that if we just go a little bit further, we'll be like, oh, that's how that works. Well, whenever you think about you personally traveling space, are you thinking like just like an orbital trip, or did you like want to go to the moon, or do you see yourself immigrating to Mars?
Probably won't go to Mars. Honestly, I will take what I can get. It'd be awesome to go to the moon. I mean, to go land on the moon, orbit the moon, but even if I could get a suborbital flight, I would do that. But yeah, whatever becomes available in our lifetimes, I guess. And we'll just have to see if the cost keeps coming down like everyone says it will, and if the technology keeps advancing to the point that it is more routine. Because right now it's I would say still not routine as much as people would like it to be.
Yeah, though it was pretty amazing that Starlink launched yesterday. I mean, that was the fifth time that they flew that particular first stage, and it looks like reuse is really something that we have now, at least with most of it.
Yeah, and now obviously that helps bring down the cost as well. And so I'll be interested in seeing how that continues to evolve with other companies and just with bigger vehicles.
Um, any thoughts on kind of how this COVID-19 situation and then sort of like the social unrest that we've kind of seen over the past couple weeks, how that might impact um, our priorities and things with regards to space? I mean, have you heard anybody talk about some big shift or something?
So in March, I did an article really looking into how COVID-19 might affect the space industry. And so I talked to a lot of people about that. And one of the big concerns was, right now we're pumping a lot of money into helping businesses, helping people who are really affected by this. And that after spending so much money to support, people in COVID-19, Congress might not have the to pass such a big budget to NASA, which could affect, its timelines and could affect how much it can accomplish and where it prioritizes its money. So that was one concern I had a lot of people talking about. And I know for a while there at Stennis, where they are testing this space launch system that's supposed to take, it's the rocket that will take astronauts to the moon. They had to pause on a lot of their testing. They had to take a break from some of their hand activity 19. It looks like they're starting to slow some of that, but we'll have to see if they can make up some of the lost time they had. And so it's things like that as we start to get back to normal that might affect just our schedules and our budgets, and also for the smaller startups, for the companies that are just founded that aren't backed by billionaires. They rely on they rely on venture capital. And so it's to be seen if investors are going to feel as confident investing in space businesses right now, or if they're just kind of all holding on to their money, keeping it for the time being, just to see how the economy shakes out. So those are like the main ways COVID-19 could affect the space industry. As states are starting to reopen, the country's starting to reopen, we'll have to see if any of those are long-term effects or just short-term effects.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, and then also NASA recently had kind of like a leadership change, or at least one of their leaders leave. And Doug Laverio, he was doing that countdown to the end of 2024 with like his daily hero of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the motivation probably for this project as well. So we're still keeping a countdown for that. But I was wondering, did you have any insight or information to kind of what's going on with regards to that? Or
Unfortunately not. NASA hasn't talked a lot about it. All I know is that he sent out an email to his employees saying that he made a mistake and that they are all doing great work and had nothing to do with them, but he had to take ownership of that mistake. And I don't know what that mistake was. I don't know why he resigned so suddenly and why he resigned a week before the SpaceX launch, but I'm still waiting to see more about that.
And one other thing that's affected Houston is the big drop in oil prices. And there's been kind of a lot of layoffs in the oil sector and what have you. But aerospace is really picking up. Blue Origin is hiring lots of people. SpaceX is hiring lots of people. You have some other firms as well. And we recently, I have a North Houston Space Society chapter, and one of our members went from working in the oil industry to Blue Origin. I was wondering if you saw maybe a lot of people in the oil industry kind of making a transition to aerospace this time, if you've seen any trends or information regarding that.
I haven't seen anything yet. It's not something I've followed yet, and so I'm not sure about that yet. I know that there's a lot of uncertainty in oil and gas right now, but it's also a boom and bust type of industry, so it's not new. But I haven't heard much about that front, unfortunately, but I'll have to look into that. That'd be interesting to see if that is true.
Yeah, because a lot of the skill sets are the same, big industrial projects, you need like project management and, logistics and finance and, IT and computers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time. Did you have any additional thoughts in closing?
No, thanks for having me. This was fun. I appreciate the chance to chat with you.
Okay. Well, you have a good rest of your day, and Look forward to reading more of your articles.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.